and welcome to Casual Buddhism. I'm Cindy Rasicot, your host. I'm author of Finding Venerable Mother and devoted follower of Venerable Dhammananda Bhikkhuni, who is the first fully ordained Theravada nun in Thailand. We have our meetings once a week on Casual Buddhism. We invite a guest who can ask a question or simply share in conversation with Venerable Dhammananda about any life concern or issue they have. So tonight, our guest is Andrea Miller. She is deputy editor of Lion's Roar, so we're really pleased to have her. She's also the author of Awakening My Heart, essays, articles, and interviews on the Buddhist life. So go ahead and begin, Andrea, and you can ask or share or whatever you would like to do at this point.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted Andrea to know that why I was particularly joyful to know that you are Canadian, because part of my life, I was sponsored for my education from Canadian Fund.
Yeah, you studied in Canada, didn't you?
Yes, at McMaster.
Oh, that's great. I hope
Yes.
you enjoyed yourself. It was good?
Yes. So I meant to say that, I received a teaching fellowship, which means it comes from your tax money.
Oh, that's great. I couldn't imagine a better use of our tax dollars.
Thank you.
So you have just had this really incredible, really fascinating life. You've done so much for women in Thailand, and you lived as a lay person and as a monastic. It's just, you're a real inspiration for Buddhist women, and I just really want to thank you. I just find it such an honor to speak with you. And so I'm wondering what advice you might want to give to other women who are trying to make the role of women better, the position of women in society better, be it in a Buddhist context or in the wider world. What would be your advice on how they go about doing that?
I find women are very capable. They are much more capable than what they themselves thought. But the problem with women is that when you are in the same field, you are working together, this one word that will, lessen your power is jealousy. This, in my own experience, I have experienced this. And so I think women come together. When they come together, particularly when they are working in the same field, on the same issue, always remember, it is our work, not my work, not your work. Like we are working here, three of us now, Andrea, Cindy, myself. This is Casual Buddhism. This is our work. It is not Cindy's work. It is not Andrea's work. It is not Dhammananda's work. But because we are together, that's why this Casual Buddhism is interesting. So not one of us is making the success to this whole thing. So when we realize that we overcome that clinging to self, which is the basic teaching of Buddhism, we do not cling for ourselves. There might be some differences. The way I do things, the way I handle my pen, suppose, the way I handle my pen, the way you handle your pen, which I may not like. But that's your business. Allow Andrea to handle her pen as long as he writes something beautiful. When we can, when we can overcome these little things, believe me, women are very capable. Last night, I just finished this 7-day Dharma talk, all organized by the Bhikkhunis. For the first time, we got together. And each one of us, we did not have even 1 month for the preparation, but we came together every night, 1.5 hours. Each speaker did their best. And believe me, as academics, I have prepared this, international conference before, and I know we take 1 year for preparation. But imagine these Bhikkhunis, they took only hardly a month, and they came together and present very beautiful presentation to all the Buddhists. You know, last night, the number of people who come in to view was 153, something like that, you know. Very, very good work, very good work. And particularly the one who always excused herself that I do not speak English well, you know, she always say that, but her presentation was beautifully presented, and everyone could understand her because she realized her shortcoming. So therefore, in her speech, which was written to be spoken, not written to be read, with script, you know, she would have her own script down below, so people could hear her and see the script at the same time. So I thought that was very beautiful, and it was very successful as you reach the audience. You know, presentation is meant to reach the audience, to grasp the audience heart, and that's what she did. I was very impressed. I was very impressed, and believe me, women are the strength.
It sounds like she was very prepared, which is great. That sounds very important.
Yes.
And I totally understand what you're saying. Together we are more than the sum of our parts, and that's a really beautiful thing. So at Lions Roar, a lot of our readers are very very concerned about making the world a better place, and all of the it just feels right now in the world that we're dealing with like multiple crises at the same time.
Yes.
You know? Social, I don't know, just horrible injustice, poverty with the pandemic, and then the environmental crisis. It feels like a lot, and so much division. And so I'm just wondering if you could maybe give some advice to our readers who are maybe feeling that the problems are so enormous that they're losing hope. Because I really feel like if you don't have some hope that you can make a difference, then you're not going to do anything. You'll just sort of like give up. So what can give us hope?
Do your best with whatever you have. You know, we always, I just shared with you last year, you know, when the pandemic hit us very hard. Imagine people who live on a day-to-day basis, you know, they get payment on day-to-day. Suddenly it was locked down, you know, and it was announced only 24 hours ahead of time. People really struggle. And then the government said, register online. I knew right away that this is not going to reach the very, very poor, because to register online, meaning you have to have mobile phone. Then the money will be transferred to your bank account. They never had bank account. You know, so I knew right away that the government lose the very, very poor people. So what we did, we reached out to them through our volunteers. We reached out to them. Some of them, you know, just gathered mushroom from the forest, and they don't have even house number. That is how poor people could be. They never had ID card because when they were born, they were so poor. The parents never took them for registration. So they were not recorded. What we do, we share with them our rice. We also don't have rice. We went into the market and we bought just 2 sacks of rice, which is about 100 kilos. And I climbed up in the old pickup to divide them into small sacks, you know, small sacks of maybe 2 kilos, so that we could give to many families. This one photo of me, an old nun scooping out rice, somehow went on internet. One man sitting in his house very comfortably, when he saw me doing that, you know, he said he could not stand it any longer to see the old nun doing this. I must do something. So, you know, the next week, he brought in 600 kilos of rice for us to distribute. You see, do not think that you cannot do. Start with whatever you have. And this man, you wouldn't believe, Andrea, he has been bringing rice to us more than more than 10,000 kilos
Wow.
in that process, because we distribute every week. That 10 weeks was very, very difficult time for us. And when we were experienced that, we also reach the the suffering of the people on the street. We do the small things that we can do, and somehow this good act will multiply. People who can see this in our heart, in each one of us, in our heart, we have that potentiality, but we never tap and we never use that potentiality, never allow that potentiality to be actualized. So this is what we did, and we realized that when we think that, oh, we don't know what to do, start from whatever you can do. Start from whatever you can do. And the way we lead our life, we have been so much in this material world. We consume and we throw away so much, this modern lifestyle. I was born during Second World War, and I know not poverty, but when we did not have, then you really live on the minimum. When you can live on the minimum and it becomes your normal, then when you really face difficulties later in life is still normal for you, because you have gone through that. So when you said you don't have, is it true that you really don't have? I question the younger generation. They complain about, now they get cut on their paycheck, whether what now they have is sufficient. It is sufficient, but you have to have the technique of living a new lifestyle to cut off on the fringe. You have been spending so much on the fringe that you don't need. Come and examine ourselves, the way we lead our life. Can we still be sufficient with what we have? And then maybe we even have extra. We may even have extra for others. Look inward to see that, are we really poor? What we have, is it not sufficient, or is it sufficient? Even the word sufficient, we have to come back and look at it again. Yes, this is what I realized through this difficult time. Look, I noticed that many of the younger generations, when they complain about not having this, not having that, but actually what they have is still enormous as compared to others.
It's very difficult. I think we live in a society where so many people, I'm speaking here from Canada, a lot of people have so much, and some people live in enormous houses and have beautiful cars and go on fantastic trips and just have all the best clothes, and you look at these things and they're very beautiful things, and it's very hard not to get into a cycle of wanting lots of beautiful things like you see all around you. Like, how do you get a hold of runaway desire in this kind of context?
In a Canadian lifestyle, you look at your house, at least the house that I lived in, you have the basement that is already one floor. You have the first floor, you have the second floor, and you have the attic. So actually you have 4 floors, and you have the garage.
Depending on the houses, not everybody lives like that.
Yes. I mean that normal Canadian house, the one that I'm familiar with, but in Asia, the garage is our house. Mm-hmm. Your Canadian garage is actually our house. So you see that we can really cut down to minimum, but because we have been so comfortable, in this material world, So I think we have to rethink and reprogram in our mind so that we can find satisfaction having basic. But what, in Thai language, we have very nice way to remind us that our body is only 1 foot wide and 2 meters long. And that is how much you need. That is really how much you need, you know. So that is actually the size of a coffin. The size of that is a reminder, you know, the way Thai people said, it's a reminder that, you know, we always build big houses, you know, and then you end up having to hire servants because you cannot handle cleaning up the house yourself, you know. You think, the way you think, you know, always involves so many other things to complete with what you think. So maybe we go back to this much simpler way of living. Your magazine, Lion's Roar, it's the same name of the magazine that my mother's teacher also had his magazine, the same name. Why is this important? Because it is the way the Buddha spread out Dharma is the lion's roar, you know. So this is the time when lions roar, need to spread the words, you know, to adjust people in this modern lifestyle to understand their true need and answer to their true need.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Andrea, I'm thinking of your, I believe it was the recent issue where you spoke about Ubuntu. Oh, and yeah. And I am, because we are, the whole notion of self, in a sense, comes from the collective. Mm-hmm. And so we are not necessarily, in our Western individualistic kind of mentality, in addition to what Venerable is saying, we're not usually used to thinking in terms of our, us, or I'm not anyway. And so it makes me realize that when we start to do that, I wonder if it isn't a little easier to feel a sense of hope because we're not so isolated in the pandemic, in the climate change, in the racial injustice, all these things going on. I do yearn for community, and I often find that when I go to Venerable's temple, the community of nuns is so incredibly beautiful. And they really show each other, they have that sense of community. So that's just one example. Anyway, those are just my thoughts to some of the things that we're talking about.
Yeah, I think that's really nice. That was a beautiful article that my colleague put together on Ubuntu. I really loved it. We don't learn very much about African wisdom. In Canada anyway, so I really enjoyed that. I'm also thinking, in addition to hope, I'm also thinking about anger, just because we are so divided from each other, and there's just so much, I don't know, hatred hurled from one side of the political divide to the other. It's just so easy to feel really angry in the face of so much injustice. How do we work with our anger, deal with our anger in a positive way so that it doesn't kind of eat us up, and that we can continue to try to make a difference for the better?
I recall my experience in 1983 when I was at Harvard University. That was a close conference between the top feminists, you know. At that time I was still an academic, not ordained yet. And each one of them brought the stories how women were exploited to the extreme. All of us were weeping, and we thought that after some years, you know, if we do not recall anything from this conference, we will remember it as a weeping conference. So much suffering that women went through this injustice, you know, social injustice. And I agreed with every presentation in that conference. But one thing, I was very uncomfortable. I cannot share with them the anger because I felt the anger was eating me up. So one afternoon, I really felt very heavy. I had to come out. I had to come out of that conference, you know. So I went to the museum. And I saw Guan Yin. I saw the Bodhisattva of compassion sitting in a very relaxed manner. That gave me an idea that I would very much work for the feminist cause, but I will not be angry. I will not be angry. So when I came back, that was when I started my involvement, coming down from ivory tower as an academic, so to say, and to become socially engaged in 1984. That is, I was conscious that I will be engaged, but I will not be angry. I will not be angry, because to be angry, I was eating up myself. The energy, the anger was eating up myself. And to be able to sustain, we want to see the world in a better place. If we are angry, we are not doing anything but harming the world further, And the world that is most important for us is our own self. This is our world here. So do our best, and when it is beyond our ability, then you have to let go. This is when the letting go in Buddhism comes in. But you have to start doing it. Many people in my society will always say, how to say, ubeka. Ubeka is equanimity. They have not even started metta, karuna. And suddenly they want to be equanimity. Equanimity is not a true equanimity unless you have started with metta, loving kindness, and compassion. Do your best, do your share. Only when it did not work, the other party is not responding to you, then ubeka. But we have to make our share. We have to put in our share first. I think this is the responsibility that we have for ourselves and for society. For ourselves is, I am sensitive. And I could cry. When Cindy says something, I would be emotional. That's okay also. That's okay also, because God make this tear duct for you to cry. Not to, if it's so moving, then I cry. I will not hold back and trying to give this good image of a monastic. But I'm not enlightened. I'm not enlightened yet. I can share the suffering of the sentient beings. Do our best with that energy, with that feeling that you really feel the suffering of people. Bring out the positive energy of that emotion that you have gone to the depth of feeling the difficulties of others, and come up with a positive energy to reach out for whatever you can do as a person, as a community. So as I explained to you, I tell you the story earlier that I was scooping out rice, only 2 kilos, but suddenly this man came with his assistant, and we have been able to now give rise to more than 10,000 kilos, starting from that 2 kilos of rice that I started with my own ability. But it adds up. Many people, there are yet many people out there who are willing to support your ideas. But do start that small project that you want to do, start it out, and then there will be multitude of help to come forward. I think this is how to make this lion roar, make the message, spread the message out, and then we can really be helping sentient beings apart from helping our own self.
Do you think that you would be as effective at helping other people if you didn't have a meditation practice?
Oh yes, that is very important issue. We ourselves has to be anchored, rooted in our practice, and guide people at the level you can do. Whatever level you are. I may not know XYZ, but I know ABC. I can teach you ABC. At least that is the steps that we can help each other.
Do you have any advice for people who, some of our readers are actually new to Buddhism? Do you have any advice for people who are just starting a meditation practice?
They always look far away, always look for something. It is like a divine guidance. It is actually, the Buddha talk about this truth, very basic truth of our life, to be here in the present moment. So right now, I'm giving you 100% of myself, my attention to Andrea. And when I give myself completely to you at this moment, that's how our heart, our soul connects. And that's how we make the best of our time. Even though we may have only 15 minutes together, but I am giving you my best. I am here in the present moment. And that comes from the base, your mental practice, that to be here in the here and now, and not thinking about what happened last night. I was so tired. I'm not thinking about, oh, the next one is waiting for me. She just came to the window waiting for me for another session. No, I am here. I am here, crossing the globe to be with Andrea in Canada. I think this is very important, particularly you working as a writer, in your magazine. You may be very busy today, but no matter how busy you are, 24 hours, you do not have more or less than others. How do you use this 1 hour in the best way, most productive way? That is enough. That is enough. Be in this minute. We are spending this 1 minute together, 100%. That is enough. Yes. So come back to ourselves and be in this one moment together. And I think then we are happy that we have spent our time wisely.
That is really beautiful. And what about for people who have been having a meditation practice for many years and they just start falling into a slump and they just don't feel inspired to
I think in the meditation session in our temple, we do have that interview, personal interview that my assistant, Venerable Paripurna, is guiding meditation, and in the evening we would sit and give them personal interview individually. So our meditation session cannot be like hundreds, because we need to sit with them, at least give them 15 minutes to see how far have they progressed today and what have they done wrong, what have they, gone on the wrong track, so to say, and then bring them back and give them, we give them homework to do until we meet again tomorrow, like that. I think guidance, personal guidance is very important for those who are seriously interested in doing meditation.
Yeah. So it's important to have a teacher.
Yes. Yes. To have a teacher to guide you, and to, how to say, feedback of the past meaning today, what have you done this morning? That is a feedback we get from them, and then we guide them for the following day. I think it's very important to have this guide, meditation guide.
That's great. I think that makes sense. What would you say for somebody who suffers a lot physically while trying to meditate? They're just not physically comfortable, maybe the neck or the shoulders or the knees or something.
We just had one case, she just lost her mother, and after cremation of her mother, she promised her mother, when the mother was in the final stage, she promised her mother that she would be ordained for her mother for 9 days. So after cremation, she came to us, and she had been a nun before, but during the time she was too busy doing too many things and did not really give time for meditation. And now she was meditating with us. The first day she had nothing but pain. So you have to go through that physical pain to realize that next day it's all gone, completely gone, you know, but you have to go through that. It is like a body is revolting, you know, the body is revolting, but because you never sit in that position for so long, you know, we did not force her to sit for a long time, only 30 minutes, but even 30 minutes, she was getting so much pain. But then when she could go through that, the next day, no pain at all, you know, and she developed very quickly. Yes. It is part of this meditation process.
Yes, I think it is physical and also mental too.
I think if it's all right, we'll draw this interview to a close. And thank you so much for being with us, Andrea, and of course, Venerable. And I hope that, and I feel that we've had many rich nuggets that will come out of this conversation to reach the listeners. So we look forward to seeing you again, and I wish everyone the best. Sadhu.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you. Good, so good to see you, Andrea.
Very nice to